Now let's get more on Donald Trump's second day of his second term as President of the United States, where he's been cracking down on illegal immigration. Dr. Andrew Seele is the President of the Migration Policy Institute and joins us now from Washington, D.C. Andrew, really good to have you on the program tonight. Now, Donald Trump has declared illegal immigration a national emergency. Why is he claiming this issue to be so pressing and a priority?
You know, this has always been his number one issue. You could say that right now the numbers are actually down at the border. I mean, the Biden administration was eventually successful in bringing arrivals down, illegal arrivals down. But it is true that a lot of people, there were several million people that made it into the country one way or another during the Biden administration. It was a huge surge. And so it was his number one issue, but it was also his number one issue last time. When he ran for president, and politically it works for him, and I think he, or at least people around him, believe deeply in this.
Can you give us an idea of roughly how many immigrants there are in the US who are there illegally or with a temporary status, and help us understand who is at risk of being deported right now? Where are they mainly from? Do they have family in the US? Many claiming asylum?
Yeah, it is. It's a very large number. It's about 13 million people, we think. We don't have the latest numbers, but we're estimating around 13.5 million people. It's about 3% of the U.S. population, and it's about, because they tend to be working age, it's about 5% of the workforce in the United States. Some of these people have temporary protections. Some of them have applied for asylum, and so they're legally allowed to stay in the country. But they are all on tenuous statuses or have no status at all. And those are the folks he wants to go after. They used to be mostly from Mexico, but today many of them are from Venezuela, Haiti, China, places much further afield than where they used to be.
So what are Donald Trump's plans for them? How is his administration going to carry out these large-scale deportations that it's promised?
So he had at least 12 executive orders on Monday that had something to do with immigration. Most of it was about trying to get all the different agencies on the same page to work on this. And most importantly, the military. I mean, trying to get the military involved in immigration control, both at the border and inside the country. He's also going to try and work with state governments and local governments. And I mean, their idea is to try and round up as many people as they can, if they can find them. This is the challenge, is how do you find people? And to send them back to their countries, which is also a challenge because not every country will take back, especially countries like Venezuela are likely not to take back their citizens. And then he's going to pressure neighboring countries, Mexico, other countries in the hemisphere, both to take people back, but also maybe to take back citizens of other countries as well.
And what impact would mass deportations have on families, many of whom have put their lives at risk? They could face an even bleaker future now.
Yeah, I think this is going to be tough because particularly for people who've been a long time in the country, they're deeply integrated. They have American-born children, sometimes American spouses. They are part of the workforce. I mean, I think you're going to see disruptions in the marketplace, and you're going to see disruptions in local communities. And I suspect this will not be very popular in the end. I mean, that it was popular when he wanted to shut down the border at a time where Biden was seen as allowing a lot of people in. But I think it's going to be unpopular when people see their neighbors and their friends and people they work with getting deported. So he really has to measure, is he going after people with criminal records, people who just got here, or is he going after folks that have been in the country a long time and are already deeply part of the fabric of our society?
Do you think under Donald Trump there'll be an increase in detention centres or camps? How are these viewed in America?
I think so. I think you're going to see they're going to use probably what are called soft-sided facilities, which sort of look like large camps. They will also rent some spaces, maybe try and use military bases. This has always been a somewhat, out of the radar thing. There are probably 60 to 100,000 people deported a year from the inside of the country. That happens anyway. This is going to become much more visible if they do several 100,000 a year. And I think that's the kind of thing that symbolically people may not like, right? And once they see families being separated, I think people are going to want at least some boundaries to know who gets deported and who doesn't, who should be priorities and who shouldn't.
Now, another key point we've noted is that Donald Trump's targeting birthright citizenship. How would this affect a lot of people?
Yeah, I mean, that would be huge. So the U.S. has historically, like every country in the Western Hemisphere, has every country but one, actually, Colombia, has had birthright citizenship. If you're born in the country, it doesn't matter who your parents are, you're automatically an American. And he wants to change that. The Constitution is fairly clear that birthright citizenship is enshrined in our Constitution. But, it will be litigated. He did an executive order basically to try and take this to the court. And we'll see what the courts say over the coming months and coming years. That may be, even a 2 or 3 year battle before there's a final decision on it. And I suspect it'll be stayed. They didn't do this thinking that they would win it tomorrow. They did this wanting to take it to the courts. And I think it's likely they won't win this one, but you never know. It would hugely transform the future of the children of undocumented immigrants. I mean, given how big a part of the country it is, that would be a transcendental change that would make it hard for people to grow up as American citizens.
Well, as you say, they are plans right now, all these changes that Donald Trump wants to bring about. Where immigration is concerned, though, will a lot of these plans face significant legal challenges?
Yeah, I think we'll see legal challenges on all of this. I mean, almost all of this. And I think you'll see some public backlash as well. I mean, I think there'll be legal challenges, there'll be logistical challenges, and there'll be public backlash. Now, I do think the American public wants greater control of immigration. I think the public is with Donald Trump on this, that they want to see more control about who comes into the country. They definitely want to see more ability to get rid of people, to send people back who might have committed crimes. But I think once you start getting into the long-term population, it's going to be much more of a questionable affair, and there'll be serious debates about this in the country.
Andrew Seele, really good to get your insights. Thank you so much for joining us from Washington, D.C.
Great to be with you this evening.